Hey guys, it's Volka. So this is the new Replat Warlock build. The gameplay you see here is on the old patch, on the current patch. So we don't have the new Splinter Nova on Marrow Shards, we don't have the new idols, idol altars, so we're missing a lot of cast speed, a lot of damage, but it's still a representative of the new build in the new season. So the gameplay on the build, we're spamming Replat for damage and also buffs. We proc Marrow Shards with it. You get a lot of flat spell damage with Replat for both Marrow Shards and Replat itself and all your spells. It's a very strong stacking buff on Replat that we have. And the more cast speed you have, the more you can stack it. There's no cap, so it's very insane stacking damage. And Fissure we use as a buff, so it basically self-torments you for flat damage and endurance threshold. And then we use Wall of Nothing body armor for most of our endurance threshold as ward decay threshold also, so you can be very tanky on this build. And for the rest of the skills, we're using Bone Curse as an aura, so you don't have to cast it manually ever, you just enable it, same as Aura of Decay. So these two skills are basically auras buffing you and debuffing enemies. So Bone Curse applies many curses to enemies and also you, so we're using the Swine Amulet, you get ward per second per curse on you, and if you use it as an aura, the curses are also applied to you. So Acid Skin is the most important curse on the build, and you get that from the Swine Amulet. Basically enemies have a chance to be critically hit, and you can scale the crit chance from Acid Skin with increased poison damage. So you don't have to max out your regular crit, you can just get some crit and then you max it out with the Acid Skin. So that's very good. And you have a lot of curses on this build, of course. Warlock gains more damage per curse and all that stuff, so it's very good. And Aura of Decay is just like always, basically physical pen. You get a bunch of reduced fuse stress on enemies per int. Alright, so let's get into the build guide. So flat damage on Replat, this is doubled for Replat itself, so 8 per stack for Replat and then 4 for your other spells. Very strong. Marrow Shard proc, you also proc this Blood Orb thing. It adds a decent bit of damage on single target, doesn't really do much for mapping, but it's like a very slow orb. You automatically cast it when you spam Replat. And that's very simple setup on the Replat itself. So you get one splatter point here for AoE. Actually helps quite a bit. So if you want to improve the AoE more, I mean, you could unspec these 4 points, for example, for mapping, and then max out the splatter nodes. So there's even some AoE here if you want, but yeah, maxing out the splatter would be pretty nice for clear. But I have it spec'd like this because it's like the best for bossing. And Marrow Shard, so this is the new tree, so the gameplay video there was with a different tree, with the old setup you usually used on Marrow Shard, because you didn't really go for bone splinter damage. So Splinter Nova is the new thing on Marrow Shards this patch. So it's basically bone splinters around you in an AoE. And I mean, you could scale this AoE quite a bit. There's like range nodes on the tree here, and they do affect the new Splinter Nova. You could also maybe build AoE or like on an amulet or something. You can. I'm guessing you can make this quite large, the AoE, so that would help with the clear as well. But it's of course a lot of points to invest if you know, let's say take out the 100% more damage here for ranged. That's not so good, but you could do it for mapping. But the skill itself deals a lot of damage. Basically, it's a very high damage ability when you cast it with Replat, because you get the flat damage and all that stuff. So good for bossing. And in the current patch, it was only for bossing. So maybe, but maybe with the Splinter Nova, it's also useful for like clear as well. And then Fissure, this is the stacking buff node. So self torment, and it's also nice because you actually get torment on yourself. So it's another curse for ward per second from the amulet. So with like standing still and maximum stacks, you know, not moving at the dummy or something like that, you can get like 50 stacks of this buff. So that's 150 flat spell damage and a bunch of endurance threshold. We go for spirit frequency on the chest. to get more stacks. You can get a higher duration here, so this affects the stacks also. So you can get basically more uptime on the stacks. And other than that, just go for double fissure for more spirits. This is the acid skin node. So we apply acid skin with bone curse. You can also apply it with the fissure, but it's very like unreliable. There's like bugs. It doesn't. You need to hit with the actual fissure when you cast it. So it's very, very bad if you use it. If you only use that. So that's why we need the acid skin amulet. But the reason we take this is because we want this node here. So this is what allows you to scale the acid skin crit chance. Because basically on base level, this gives you 20% extra crit. So it's kind of like crit vuln. So it applies to enemies. Enemies have a chance to be critically struck. So it doesn't, like, it's not your crit chance basically. So 20%, and then usually we basically on this build you get. I have it explained on the guide here how much you get, because this is basically static. You always get about this much. This is with the max rolled amulet, because the amulet has increased poison damage. But with just the passives and stuff like that, you get about 20% extra crit chance from the poison node. So basically, we stack global increased damage. So of course, poison damage on its own is completely useless for us. So getting nodes like this is good. Gives you actual physical damage and also poison damage. So that's the idea. And we go for like real crit as well. So you get the physical spell crit D7 on the helmet. So you don't really need like much at all to get good crit chance. Basically, the base items, items have a lot of base crit, right? Like the catalyst, the gloves, and you get 3% base crit also from the skill trees on both skills. So you can get like 90% crit chance quite easily with just like very, very, like getting the base items and getting the D7 on the helmet, guaranteed slam, and then the acid skin. So very easy to get your crits, and that's also why physical as an element is, or like damage type is a very good damage type. You can get the physical spell crit chance affix. And bone curse. Yeah, so like I said, aura, bone curse. This is always how I spec my bone curse. I don't want to use something like bone curse on hit. This is just way better. And of course on Warlock, we actually need and want the self curse. So this applies curses to you and to enemies. So with the swine amulet, we get acid skin. We of course get bone curse itself. We get mark for death, and so you get 3 curses from bone curse on enemies and on you. And with the torment also, you get about like almost 700 ward per second if you max roll the amulet with those curses. So it's sort of like free ward per second without being low life or anything like that. So very nice. This is basically, I mean, it's a hybrid build. We go for as much HP as possible. We go for all the endurance and stuff like that. So on the endgame planner, you don't have that much HP. You don't really have space to build it, right? So, but on Aspiration, you can get a lot because you get more LP, like 2 LP chest and stuff like that. So you can get a lot of HP as well. So this is gonna be incredibly tanky at this point. But even on endgame, you can even tank Uber Slam if you, especially if you stand still and you're full endurance threshold. With just 2k HP, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, and then on Bone Curse, we try to max out the damage, so get all the damage nodes, because this actually deals decent bit of damage, and then you also get the explosion here. So basically, more single target, more AOE, and we do need AOE on this build. It's definitely like the downside of the build is the limited AOE, and we'll see how the AOE improves also with the Splinter Nova. So I want to max out the AoE on Bone Curse. So, I mean, it's nice to have the big area. You need to go 4 points anyways here, but I get the extra point as well. Going for 3 points on the mana efficiency. So basically this makes it so the aura is like a lower mana cost per second. So this way it's going to be much easier to play when you spec the like at least 2 points. 3 points is nice, because on this setup we're only going for 1 mana node on Ripblood. So on some other Warlocks you can go 2 points, 3 points, but we don't really have points for that on this one, and you don't need it either. So as long as you don't use Fissure too much while mapping, so don't like use it every pack. You don't need it every pack. You don't even need it at all, to be honest. In maps, you have a lot of damage, so you don't wanna like go out of mana because you're using Fissure a bunch. It's not really needed. And on bossing, you never run out because this is like tripled on boss, the mana gain. So you can just keep this up, of course, always. But something to keep in mind for mapping. You don't need to be like max buffed, of course, to kill one pack of enemies. And if you feel like it, I mean, you could also get the like 1 point here, but it's 3 points to get the 1 bone armor node. And I mean, we don't need the shred; we already get shred. So this would give you some extra tankiness while mapping. But I mean, it's 8% less damage taken, and it's on kill, so it's kind of whatever. But it would be okay. But the mana efficiency is very good. And Aura of Decay, very simple, the same setup you always see on everything. So just, you know, enemy res per int reduced, and it's going to be physical with this node, and you get the AoE and res from it also. So that's why physical res is very overcapped, because this also applies basically minus phys res to you. So we get the plus 60 here. This is going to be phys res with the conversion, and then idols, you can easily get, like, if you need phys res, you can just get 1 idol suffix, especially with all the effect you have on idols. It's gonna be very easy to cap your physical res, so that's never an issue. So even if you have like 200 int, like, who cares, you can just go for the physical res suffix. And when it comes to res, all the other res is also overcapped, so keep in mind we're getting minus 25 all res from Mark for Death, so this is that's why we overcap the resistances. And getting res on this build, I mean, it's very easy if you have, you know, red rings and all of the gear, of course. So but I still like to go for, on endgame player, I like to go for void res blessing and all res blessing, and even on aspirational the void res blessing is really good. Like, sure, you could get the crit multi blessing, but this makes it so easy. You can go for idols like this. You don't need any void res from the idols, and you don't need to max roll everything. So some of these items have a pretty high roll range on the res, like the Catalyst, this, you know, Eli res roll and all that stuff. So lots of all res we have also on the item. So the void res blessing is nice. Of course, if you don't need this, just get the crit multi blessing. And yeah, but for the gear, so ladle works really nicely with the Ripblood flat damage and the Fissure flat damage. We don't need any flat damage anywhere else. Best weapon, easily, no question. Gives you cast speed also, more damage, simple stuff. This is a stat stick, crit chance, cast speed, you know, stuff like that. So you don't care about the infusion stuff. It's completely irrelevant. You just go for the stats. Wall of Nothing, like I said, endurance threshold as ward, decay threshold. So very defensive chest, also gives you kind of like a dodge with the chance to take 0 damage. And we actually have quite a bit of dodge on this build, because there is this node here on the Lich tree. So you can get like 1k dodge and more easily. And when you stand still, the dodge is going to be entrance threshold. So you will be full threshold, if not already, but especially if you stand still, you can get extra threshold. And the boots are basically gives you a lot of attributes, endurance. This is kind of the only way you can really easily cap endurance without building it on like gear or something, or having, I don't know, idle enchants or something like that. And it gives you a lot of attributes also, so it's also like amazing boots. Only bad thing is it's not the fastest. Like, the movement speed on these boots is low, but you know, it's just how it is. But very strong boots. If you don't care about like endurance, if you feel like you're just mapping on, you know, softcore, you're tanky enough already and stuff like that, you can, I mean, there's many boots you could use, stuff like, you know, Blood of the Exile or Chariot boots or whatever. Just one, you know, get 1 LP movement speed, and just, it's gonna be faster, but it's not gonna be like very good like otherwise. But you can get like extra 20% or something like that movement speed. And we do have haste also from the tree, so that's nice too. But these are the optimal boots if you want to be tanky and have nice damage and all that. Are very good boots. And then Reliquary Nest, so boosts your idols. incredibly strong with especially with the new idol setups, even with just the normal idols, but the new idols go crazy. So you have a lot of cast speed while cursed on each idol, and then you get the effect 60%. You can get effect on the altar also, so prefix effect is the main thing we want. By the way, on the suffix you can also get reduce bonus crit, so you can actually cap your crit reduction quite easily if you get the T5. You don't need it, of course. You're gonna slam T7 on the belt crit reduction, but this will bring you to cap along with the enchant if you get it. But yeah, the cast speed is incredibly strong with all these idle effect boosting things, and this relic is also, I mean, gives you endurance, all res, increased endurance threshold. It's very actually one of the best items in the game. This, especially now with the new idols. Blood Mage gloves, pretty basic crit chance, hit damage taken over 4 seconds, really strong on this build, and on most spell builds you use this. And you get 1% leech here, and then you also get 3% here. So you have 4% leech, so that's all you need. And this is a travel point anyway, so it's, you kind of have to, I mean, you have to take something, and the other nodes are not that good, so I went for HP and leech, so that takes care of the leech you need. Double red rings, you don't need them, obviously, like on any build you don't need red rings. On starting planner you can just go like, you know, rare rings, you can go Flames of Midnight, you can go Crab Ring, you can go Oseron, basically whatever you want, as long as you can cap your res. But these are very strong for the build. You can get the damage reduction, resistance, all that stuff. Thornslinger, just +1 skills, easy to get, movement speed, and you can even get, you know, 3 LP on that and stuff like that. Maybe even 4 LP. Bone Clamor, ward per second, per Necrores. We don't really care that much about the ward per second. You have a lot of ward per second already from the amulet, but you know, good stats, int, Necrores, armor. It's just like a good helmet, not too hard to get with even multiple LP. And yeah, the amulet, like I was saying, you want the acid skin version because there is multiple versions of this. So there's like Decrepify, Penance and stuff like that, so 3 versions. You want the acid skin, has to be exactly that one. Personally, I would really want to get the amulet before you play the build. I mean, you can play it without it, but I mean, you're gonna miss crit chance and all that, but and ward per second and everything. It's kind of like a build enabling item, to be honest, the Swine amulet, but it's easy to get. So, and ideally you get 2 LP, but at least get the shred on this. If you don't get it on this, get it on gloves. You can also get it on gloves, but ideally you get it on the amulet, the armor shred. We do have shred also on the wand, but you want more than just the 48. And for passives, so getting all the int you can, of course. Ward retention is okay, but we don't care that much about ward retention because you have decay threshold. But getting all the increased damage, like I said, the global increased damage, you get some from the base tree here also. On Lich tree, getting the leech, int mana regen, dodge node, and on Warlock, travel nodes, you always take this. Mana regen does help the build, so you get quite a bit of mana regen just by existing. You don't, I mean, only thing we have is the red rings for extra regen, and then of course you have the mana node. So mana is gonna be fine just by existing, and more decay threshold per Necrores, so even higher decay threshold. So you're gonna have a lot because you have so much endurance. So you can have like thousands of decay thresholds, like 3k and stuff like that. It depends on your gear, of course. These nodes, tankiness, more armor per curse on the target, less damage taken per curse. So very classic Warlock nodes. This also less damage taken from Withered. This also amps up the damage of Bone Curse and also Anguish. So this is another curse we get from the tree. So this is only available here on the passive tree. And this is pretty much only for bossing because only curse, you need to cast a curse skill, and the only curse skill we really cast is Fissure, and this only applies to 2 enemies when you cast. So this is for bossing, and this basically triggers the damage on when you hit the boss, and you have a lot of hits. So this is quite nice. It's not like super crazy, these 3 points, but for 3 points, I do take it on this setup. It's also a necrotic skill, so it's like sadly not physical, but it's extra damage for 3 points, so why not? Cast speed, we want all the cast speed, HP, also more damage per negative ailment on you, so you just get naturally get some ailments on you, so it gives you some damage, but it's mostly for the HP, because 15% increase is quite nice for 5 points. Haste, and then the double damage per curse, double damage node, crit multiplier, nice for our build. Rest of the points into int. And on Aspirational Planner, you can go for very crazy things. So on this one, we're going for crit avoidance instead of reduced crit. So you get the blessing, and then you get D5 on the belt. You can also get it on, boots and stuff, but ideally on the belt. And then we go madness on the corruption. So of course, Aspirational Planner is very it's meant to show you what you want to get. We don't expect anybody really to get the perfect corruption on all of these items and stuff like that, but so you know what to aim for. So I most likely this item is gonna be 2 LP, so you're basically gonna have the end game item with the madness corruption. That would be, or even pretty much. I think you kind of want 2 LP because you don't want to go just armor shred. So the madness basically converts the int ward retention to spell crit multiplier, so you can get very insane damage with this. So basically this build scales crazy. So you go madness, so you have almost 200 int, and you get almost 200 extra crit multi. It's not showing up here, but you would have like 600% crit multi, and that's without any blessing also. So goes crazy. And we don't care about the ward retention really, because we have a lot of DK threshold, and you also get basically increased bonus crit damage taken. Doesn't matter, you go for crit avoidance. So this is a very, very strong thing if you get the madness on this. Hopefully this is not too hard to get. Like I said, it's basically no downside except that you have to go for crit avoidance. So this makes the res a bit more. You need to high roll some of the items here, and you do want to have red rings and all that stuff at this point, because you don't really want to go for the all res blessing anymore. Building D7 crit avoidance is not that fun, and you still need another crit avoidance affix. So crit avoidance blessing good, gives you dodge as well, very nice. Other than that, you can check all the corruption and stuff like that on the guide. These are, I have no idea how hard it is to get them. Hopefully you can actually get some stuff you want, but there's some crazy stuff like the ward gain when you cast a spell damage per movement speed. This should be kind of interesting, this one actually, because you're casting so fast. You can also get frenzy, by the way, on the nest. I think we have so much cast speed that maybe it's not the best, but you can get frenzy. Int is pretty crazy though with the madness, and you're like double dipping on the scaling because it's, or like even triple dipping. It's int on its own, the increased damage. Then you get the madness crit multiplier, and then you get Aura of Decay minus resistance on enemies. So it's int is very crazy at this point, even more so than like normally. Getting HP would be amazing, like corrupting D7 increase HP, so you can get so much HP on this setup. Even more Endurance threshold. So we'll see. Hopefully you can actually get this stuff. But that's pretty much the build. Very, very strong build overall, and definitely one of the best builds of the patch. And hopefully you like it. I'll see you in the next one.